Ska, 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 ska. Check. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thrillers, thrillers, thrillers. Ska, 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 ska. Tingle, tingle, tingle. Is a pop. Ska, 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 ska. Sound check, 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 check. Jonica tingle, Jonica tingles. Jonica, Jonica ska. Ska, ska. It's a ska, 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 ska. A ska, 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 ska. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Professional paranormal research. PPR ska, 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 ska. Brain tingles. Stony Baker, MD. Stone Baker. Tingle, tingle, tingle. We're going in, share it out. DJ is, DJ is, DJ is. Miss Lover, Miss Lover. How you doing? Lover tingles. TWP popcorn. Or broke ska, 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 ska. TWP popcorn. Sound check, 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 check. Wolf, wolf, ska. Wolf Hound, that's Scully. Ska, ska, ska. Hey, Scully, darling. Venus. Lady Spellbreaker. Welcome, welcome. Lady Spellbreaker. Tingle, tingle, tingle. Brain tingles. Manic Mouth 420. Manic Mouth 420. 20. Love, love, love. Test, test, test. Learning, grow with A. Learning, grow with A. Learning, grow with A. Naughty Nikki, 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 Nikki. Naughty Nikki, Nikki, Nikki. Naughty Nikki, Nikki, Nikki. Manic Mouth 420. Manic Mouth 420. Stony Baker MD. Ska, 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 ska. Tingle, 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 tingle. Tingle pop, pop, pop. Tingle pop. Tingle pop. I'm doing all right. Feeling good. Feeling good. Yes, lover. It is shrimp and grits. So good. I sure have missed you. All of you. I love you guys the most. Jonica, tingle, tingle, tingle. How you doing, Jonica? It's great to see you. Nasal Damaska. I'm all the way over there down under. It's Nasal Damaska. Tingle, tingle, tingle. Lady Spellbreaker. Lady Tingles. Let's give a big hand. Big ol' hand for Izzy Pop. She working hard back there behind the scenes, helping me out. Running those beautiful graphics. Izzy Pop. Ska, 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 ska. No, I didn't do it. Ska, 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 ska. That's right, tonight we're going to be reading Edgar Allan Poe. The Fall of the House of Usher. Psychedelic spell. Psychedelic spell. I got two thumbs and double love. Learn and grow a thing. Learn and grow a thing. Buggy tingles. Buggy tingles. Tammy Scott. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh my cat, I don't have thumbs. I made it. I made it. That's right, Boogie. Boogie tinkle. Tinkle, 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 tinkle. Ska, 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 ska. Push them in deep. Push those earbuds in deep. I hear you. Ska, ska. Ska, ska, ska. Hey, hey, hey. Relax, relax, relax. Nosy neighbor, neighbor, neighbor. Nosy neighbor. Lady show. Welcome, welcome. Learn and grow with AM. It's good to be back. Give me that clown vibe so I can sleep well. Ska, 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 ska. Tuck it in, tuck it in. I'm learning about uniting the divine feminine and masculine energy. And I drew an amazing tree of life with the star of David on it. Susie tingles, vacationing with the Valentines. Susie Scud. Naughty Nikki, 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 Nikki. Naughty Nikki, Nikki, Nikki. We're gonna get started here in a second. Hey Casper, how you doing? Scotty B, Scotty B. My bro, Scotty B. Check, 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 check. Swahilians are in the distance. Does anybody know this story? Smoked out 420. Smoked out 420. Welcome, buddy. AC Scud. Scud. You're in the Scud zone. It's another world, in another time, in another place. It's Benny Loco, Benny Loco. 007 license to chill. That's right, we're gonna chill tonight. Listen to the sound of my voice. Nosy neighbor, psychedelic tingles. Lady spellbreaker. During the whole of a dull, dark, and soundless day, in the autumn of the year, when the clouds hung oppressively low in the heavens, I had been passing along on horseback through a singularly dreary tract of country. And at length I found myself, as the shades of the evening drew on, within view of the melancholy house of Usher. I know not how it was, but with the first glimpse of the building, a sense of insufferable gloom pervaded my spirit. I say insufferable, for the feeling was unrelieved by any of that half pleasurable, because poetic sentiment with which the mind usually receives even the sternest natural images of the desolate are terrible. I look upon the scene before me, upon the mere house and simple landscape features of the domain, upon the bleak walls, upon the vacant eye-like windows, upon a few rank sledges, upon a few white trunks of decayed trees, with an utter depression of soul which I can compare to no earthly sensation more properly, and to compare to no after dream of the reveler upon opium, bitter lapse into everyday life, the hideous dropping of the veil, swampy 6333, swampy 63, Pamiska. There was an iciness, a sinking, a sickening of the heart, an unredeemed dreariness of thought which no goading of the imagination could torture into aught of the sublime. What was it? I paused to think. What was it that so unnerved me in the contemplation of the house of Usher? Off the wall, preppy. It was a mystery all insoluble, nor could I grapple with the shadowy fancies that crowded upon me as I pondered. I was forced to fall back upon the unsatisfactory conclusion that while, beyond doubt, there are combinations of very simple natural objects which have the power of thus affecting us, still the analysis of this power lies among considerations beyond our depth. It was possible, I reflected, that a mere different arrangement of the particulars of the scene, of the details of the picture, would be sufficient to modify, or perhaps to annihilate, its capacity for sorrowful impression. Oh, in acting upon this idea, I reined my horse to the precipitous brink of a black and lurid tarn that lay in unruffled luster by the dwelling, and gazed down, but with a shudder even more thrilling than before, upon the remodeled and inverted images of the Christ's edge and the ghastly tree stems and the vacant and eye-like windows. Nevertheless, in this mansion of gloom, I now proposed to myself a sojourn of some weeks. Its proprietor, Roderick Usher, had been one of my boon companions in boyhood, but many years had elapsed since our last meeting. A letter, however, had lately reached me in a distant part of the country. A letter from him which, in its wildly opportune nature, had admitted of no other than a personal reply. The MS gave evidence of nervous agitation. The writer spoke of acute bodily illness, of a mental disorder which oppressed him, of an earnest desire to see me, as his best and indeed his only personal friend, with a view of attempting by the cheerfulness of my society some alleviation of his malady. It was the manner in which all this, and much more, was said. It was the apparent heart that went with his request, which allowed me no room for hesitation, and I accordingly obeyed forthwith what I still considered a very singular summons. Welcome off the wall, prepper, ska, 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 ska. Maple tingles, welcome, welcome. Prepper tingle, tingle. How you doing, Prepper? Easy, Pop. Professional paranormal tingle. Lover tingles. A child. Ska. A child. Ska. Although, as boys, we had been even intimate associates, yet I really knew little of my friend. His reserve had been always excessive and habitual. I was aware, however, that his very ancient family had been noted time out of mind for a peculiar sensibility of temperament, displaying itself through long ages and many works of exalted art, and manifested of late in repeated deeds of munificent yet unobtrusive charity, as well as in a passionate devotion to the intricacies, perhaps even more than to the orthodox and easily recognizable beauties of music, science. I learned too the very remarkable fact that the stem of the Usher race, all time honored as it was, put forth at no period any enduring branch. In other words, that the entire family lay in the direct line of descent, and it always with very trifling and very temporary variation. So late. It was in this deficiency, I considered, while running in thought the perfect keeping of the character of the premises with the accredited character of the people, while speculating upon the possible influence which the one chick kitchen for a second. How's everybody doing out there? Brain tingle, tingle, tingle. Brain tingle, 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 tingle. Ska. It was this deficiency, perhaps, of collateral issue and the consequent undeviating transmission from sire to son of the patrimony with the name, which had at length so identified the two as to merge the original title of the estate and the quaint and unequivocal appellation of the House of Usher. an appellation which seemed to include in the minds of the peasantry who used it both the family and the family mansion. Scud, 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 scud. Scuddy pop, 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 pop. Learn to grow with hand. I've said that the sole effect of my somewhat childish experiment, that of looking down with Tarn, had been to deepen the first singular impression. There can be no doubt that the consciousness of the rapid increase of my superstition, or why should I not so term it, served mainly to accelerate the increase itself. Such I've long known as the paradoxical law of all sentiments having terror as basis. And it might have been for this reason only that when I again uplifted my eyes to the house itself, from its image in the pool, there grew in my mind a strange fancy. Fancy so ridiculous indeed that I but mention it to show the vivid force of the sensations which oppressed me. I had so worked upon my imagination as really to believe that about the whole mansion and domain there hung an atmosphere peculiar to themselves in their immediate vicinity. An atmosphere which had no affinity with the air of heaven, but which had reeked up from the decayed trees and the great wall and the silent horn. Pestilent and mystic vapor, dull, sluggish, faintly discernible, leaden hued. Scuss, 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 scuss. Shaking off from my spirit what must have been a dream, I scanned more narrowly the real aspect of the building. Its principal feature seemed to be that of an excessive antiquity. The discoloration of ages had been gray. Minute fungi overspread the whole exterior, hanging in a fine tangled webwork of the eaves. Yet all this was apart from any extraordinary dilapidation. No portion of the masonry had fallen, and there appeared to be a wild inconsistency between its still perfect adaptation of parts and the crumbling condition of the individual stones. In this there was much that reminded me of the spacious totality of old woodwork which had rotted for long years in some neglected vault, with no disturbance from the breath of external air. Beyond this indication of extensive decay, however, the fabric gave little token of instability. Perhaps the eye of a scrutinizing observer might have discovered a barely perceptible fissure, which, extending from the roof of the building in front, made its way down the wall in a zigzag direction until it became lost in the sullen waters of the tarn. Hey Pindar, how you doing? Hope everybody's relaxed, having a good time. Hey Mom knows. Ska, 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 ska. Give me a big ska if you're having fun. Noticing these things, I rode over a short causeway to the house. A servant in waiting took my horse, and I entered the Gothic archway of the hall. A valet of stealthy step thence conducted me in silence through many dark and intricate passages in my progress to the studio of his master. Much that I encountered on the way contributed, I know not how, to heighten the vague sentiments of which I have already spoken. While the objects around me, while the carvings of the ceiling, the somber tapestries on the walls, the ebon blackness of the floors, and the phantasmagoric armorial trophies which rattled as I strode, were the matters to which, to such as which, I've been accustomed from my infancy. While I hesitated not to acknowledge how familiar was all this, I still wondered to find how unfamiliar were the fancies which ordinary images were stirring up. On one of the staircases, I met the physician of the family. His countenance, I thought, wore a mingled expression of low cunning and perplexity. He accosted me with trepidation and passed on. The valet now threw open a door and ushered me into the presence of his master. Ska, 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 ska. Ska, ska, skittles, skittles, skittles. Casper Norther, Casper Norther. The room in which I found myself was very large and lofty. The windows were long, narrow, and pointed, and at so vast a distance from the black oaken floor as to be altogether inaccessible from within. Feeble gleams of encrimsoned light made their way through the trellis panes and served to render sufficiently distinct the more prominent objects around. The eye, however, struggled in vain to reach the remoter angles of the chamber or the recesses of the vaulted and fretted ceiling. Dark draperies hung on the walls. The general furniture was profuse, comfortless, antique, and tattered. Many books and musical instruments lay scattered about, failed to give any vitality to the scene. that I breathe an atmosphere of sorrow. An air of stern, deep, and irredeemable gloom hung over and pervaded all. Hey Tanya, how you doing? My volume keeps going up on me here. Stream keeps jacking my volume up. Judy May. It's Judy May. Hey Judy. Tanya Tinkles. Pindar. The weekend went away too fast, but I am blessed as well. Upon my entrance, Usher rose from the sofa on which he had been lying at full length and greeted me with a vivacious warmth which had much in it. I at first thought of an overdone cordiality, of the constrained effort of the ennuyé man of the world. A glance, however, at his countenance convinced me of his perfect sincerity. We sat down. Some moments while he spoke not, I gazed upon him with a feeling half of pity, half of awe. Surely a man had never been before so terribly altered in so brief a period as had Roderick Usher. It was with difficulty that I could bring myself to admit the identity of the one being before me with the companion of my early boyhood. Yet the character of his face had been at all times remarkable. A cadaverousness of complexion, an eye large, liquid, and luminous beyond comparison. Lips somewhat thin and very pallid, but of a surpassingly beautiful curve. A nose of a delicate Hebrew model, with a breadth of nostril unusual in similar formations. Finely molded chin speaking in its want of prominence, of a want of moral energy, hair of a more than web-like softness and tenuity. These features, with an inordinate expansion above the regions of the temple, made up altogether a countenance not easily to be forgotten. And now, in the mere exaggeration of the prevailing character of these features, and of the expression they were wont to convey, lay so much of change that I doubted to whom I spoke. The now ghastly pallor of the skin, and the now miraculous luster of the eye, Above all things startled old, and even awed me. Silken hair, too. Grew all unheeded as in its wild gossamer texture. It floated rather than fell about the face. I could not even with effort connect its arabesque expression with any idea of simple humanity. Scus, 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 scus. Scus, 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 scus. Scus, 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 scus. Tongue tingle, 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 tingle. Stony tingle, 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 tingle. The neck of disappointment, tingle, 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 tingle. Kim Maple, tingle, 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 tingle. Naughty Nicky, tingle, tingle, tingle. Judy May, tingle, tingle, tingle. Stony tingle, tingle, tingle. Smoked out for 2020. AC Sky, AC Sky, AC Sky. Or at least the light, the light, the light. Jonica tingle, tingle, tingle. Jonica tingle, tingle, tingle. Tanya tingle, tingle, tingle. Ska, 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 ska. Ixie pop. Ska, 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 ska. Scuzzy, ska, 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 ska. Well, I hate to do it to y'all, but I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. Ha. Be right back. Oh my gosh, I think I overhydrated tonight. Kathleen, Kathleen, welcome, welcome, welcome. Catalina, Catalina, welcome to the show. It's time to relax. Popcorn tingles. How you doing, Broska? Scotty B, Scotty B. Judy May, Judy May, Judy May. In the manner of my friend, I was at once struck with an incoherence. An inconsistency. I soon found this to arise from a series of feeble and futile struggles to overcome a habitual trepidancy and excessive nervous agitation. Or something of this nature. I had indeed been prepared, no less by his letter, and by the remembrances of certain boyish dreams, and by the conclusions deduced from his peculiar physical conformation and temperament. His action was alternately vivacious and sullen. His voice varied rapidly from a tremulous indecision, when the animal spirit seemed utterly in abeyance, to that species of energetic concision, that abrupt, weighty, unhurried, and hollow-sounding enunciation, that leaden, self-balanced, and perfectly modulated guttural utterance. Which may be observed in the lost drunkard, or the irreclaimable eater of opium during the periods of his most intense excitement. Mega tingles, mega tingles. It was thus that he spoke of the object of my visit, of his earnest desire to see me, and of the solace he expected me to afford him. He entered at some length into what he conceived to be the nature of his malady. It was, he said, a constitutional and a family evil, and from one which he despaired to find a remedy. A mere nervous affection, he immediately added, which undoubtedly soon pass off. It displayed itself in a host of unnatural sensations. Some of these, as he detailed them, interested and bewildered me. Although perhaps the terms and general manner of their narration had their weight. He suffered much from a morbid acuteness of the senses, The most insipid food was alone and durable. He could wear out garments, certain texture. The odors of all flowers were oppressive. His eyes were tortured by even a faint light. There were peculiar sounds, these from stringed instruments, which did not inspire him with horror. To an anomalous species of terror, I found him a bold and bound slave. I shall perish, he said. I must perish in this deplorable folly. Thus, thus and not otherwise shall I be lost. I dread the events of the future, not in themselves, but in their results. I shudder at the thought of any, even the most trivial incident, which may operate upon this intolerable agitation of soul. I have, indeed, no abhorrence of danger, except in its absolute effect and terror. In this unnerved, in this pitiable condition, I feel that the period will sooner or later arrive when I must abandon life and reason altogether. In some struggle with the grim phantasm, fear, blood, 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 scut, scut, scut. I learn, moreover, at intervals and through broken and unequivocal hints, another singular feature of his mental condition. He was enchained by certain superstitious impressions in regard to the dwelling which he tended, and whence for many years he had never ventured forth. In regard to an influence whose supposititious force was conveyed in terms too shadowy here to be restated. An influence, some peculiarities, the mere form of substance of his family mansion had, by dint of long sufferance, he said, tamed over his spirit and effect with the physique of the great walls and turrets. Of the dim tarn into which they all looked down, had at length brought about upon the morale of his existence. He admitted, however, although with hesitation, that much of the peculiar gloom which thus afflicted him could be traced to a more natural and far more palpable origin, to the severe and long continued illness, indeed to the evidently approaching dissolution of a tenderly beloved sister, his sole companion for long years, his last and only relative on earth. Decease, he said, with a bitterness which I can never forget. Leave me with the last of an ancient race of the Ushers. While he spoke, the Lady Madeline, for so was she called, passed through a remote portion of the apartment, and, without having noticed my presence, disappeared. I regarded her with an utter astonishment not unmingled with dread. Yet I found it impossible to account for such feelings. A sensation of stupor oppressed me as my eyes followed her retreating steps. When a door at length closed upon her, my glance sought instinctively and eagerly to the countenance of my brother. But he buried his face in his hands, and I could only perceive that a far more than ordinary wanness overspread the emaciated fingers, which trickled many passionate tears. The disease of the Lady Madeline had long baffled the skill of her physicians. A settled apathy, a gradual wasting away of the person, and frequent although transient affections of a partially cataleptical character were the unusual diagnosis. Hitherto she had steadily borne up against the pressure of her malady, not betaken herself finally to bed. On the closing in of the evening of my arrival at the house, she succumbed, as her brother told me at the night with inexpressible agitation, to the prostrating power of the destroyer. Oh, and I learned that the glimpse I had obtained of her person would thus probably be the last I should obtain. That the lady, at least while living, would be seen by me no more. For several days ensuing, her name was unmentioned by either Usher or myself, and during this period I was busied in earnest endeavors to alleviate the melancholy of my friend. We painted and read together, or I listened, as if in a dream, to the wild improvisations of his speaking guitar. And thus, as a closer and still closer intimacy admitted me more unreservedly into the recesses of his spirit, more bitterly did I perceive the futility of all attempt at cheering a mind from which darkness, as if an inherent positive quality, poured forth upon all objects of the moral and physical universe in one unceasing radiation of gloom. I shall even bear about me a memory of the many solemn hours I thus spent alone with the master of the house of Usher. Yet I should fail in any attempt to convey an idea of the exact characters of the studies, or of the occupations in which he involved me, or led me the way. Time. An excited and highly distempered ideality threw a sulphureous luster over all. His long improvised dirges will ring forever in my ears. other things. I hold painfully in mind a certain singular perversion and amplification of the wild air of the last waltz of Von Weber. From paintings over which his elaborate fancy brooded, and which grew touch by touch, to vagueness at which I shuddered the more thrillingly, because I shuddered not knowing why. These paintings, vivid in images now are before me, I had in vain endeavored to deduce more than a small portion which should lie within the compass of merely written words. By the utter simplicity, by the nakedness of his designs, he arrested and overawed attention. If ever mortal painted an idea, that mortal was Roderick Usher. For me at least. One of the phantasmagoric conceptions of my friend, partaking not so rigidly of the spirit of abstraction, may be shadowed forth, although feebly, in words. A small picture presented the interior of an immensely long and rectangular vault or tunnel with low walls, smooth, white, and without interruption or device. Certain accessory points of the design served well to convey the idea that this excavation lay at an exceedingly depth below the surface of the earth. No outlet was observed in any portion of its vast extent, and no torch or other artificial source of light was discernible. Yet a flood of intense rays rolled throughout, bathed the whole in a ghastly and inappropriate splendor. Oh, yeah. Mason Donna coming in with that 299. Chill. Fonta, Louisiana style. Hey, Siska. Mason Donna, tingle. Thank you, darling. Kim Maple, sir. Harley. You heading out, Tanya? Thanks for stopping by. Ska. Tingle. Ska. Blood Dragon, Blood Dragon, Blood Dragon. Oh, Papatina, oh, Papatina, Papatina. Oh, Papatina, oh, Papatina. Brain tingles begin. Naughty Nicky, blood tingles, tingles. I've just spoken of that morbid condition of the auditory nerve which rendered all music intolerable to the sufferer, with the exception of certain effects of stringed instruments. It was perhaps the narrow limits to which he thus confined himself upon the guitar which gave birth, in great measure, to the fantastic character of his performances. They must have been and were in the notes as well in the words of his wild fantasies, the result of that intense mental collectedness and concentration to which I have previously alluded as observable only in particular moments of the highest artificial excitement. Ska, 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 ska. Gens aura, aura. Gens aura, aura. The words of one of these rhapsodies I have easily remembered. I was perhaps the more forcibly impressed with it as he gave it. Yes, he pops. Yes, he pops. Tingle, 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 tingle. Professional paranormal research. Kathleen. Gens aura. I fancy that I perceived first time full consciousness on the part of Usher, the tottering of his lofty reason upon her throne. The verses, which were entitled The Haunted Palace, read very nearly, if not accurately, thus. In the greenness of our valleys, by good angels tenanted, once a fair and stately palace, radiant palace, reared its head. In the monarch thought's dominion it stood there. Never seraph spread a pinion over fabric half so fair. Banners yellow, glorious, golden. On its roof did float and flow. This and all this was in the olden time long ago. In every gentle air that dallied in that sweet day, along the ramparts plumed and pallid, a winged odor went away. Wanderers in that happy valley through two luminous windows saw spirits moving musically to a lute's well-tuned law. Monarch, monarch, monarch. Around a throne were sitting poor Phrygian in state of glory well befitting. The ruler of the realm was seen. And all with pearl and ruby glowing was the fair palace door, through which came flowing, 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 and sparkling evermore. A troop of echoes whose sweet duty was but to sing, and voices of surpassing beauty, the wit and wisdom of their king. But evil things in robes of sorrow assailed the monarch's high estate. Ah, let us mourn, for never morrow shall dawn upon him desolate. And round about his home the glory that blushed and bloomed is but a dim remembered story of the old time entombed. Tales told in the dark, 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 dark. Tales told in the dark, dark, dark. Monarch garden, tingle, tingle, tingle. I will remember that suggestions arising from this ballad led us into a train of thought wherein there became manifest an opinion of Usher's, which I mentioned not so much on account of its novelty as on account of the pertinacity with which he maintained it. This opinion in its general form was that of the sentience of all vegetable things, but in his discordant fancy, the idea had assumed a more daring character and trespassed under certain conditions upon the kingdom of inorganization. I lack words to express the full extent or the earnest abandon of his persuasion. The belief, however, was connected, as I previously hinted, to great stones at the home of his forefathers. The conditions of the sentience have been here, he imagined, fulfilled in the method of collocation of these stones, in the order of their arrangement, as well in that of the many fungi which overspread them, and of the decayed trees which stood around. Above all, in the long undisturbed endurance of this arrangement, and in the reduplication in the still waters of the tarn. Its evidence, the evidence of the sentience, was to be seen, he said, and I here started when he spoke, and the gradual yet uncertain condensation of an atmosphere of their own about the waters and the walls. The result was discoverable, he added, that silent yet inopportune and terrible influence which for centuries had molded their destinies of his family, and which made him what I now saw him, what he was. Such opinions need no comment, and I will make none. Our books, the books which for years had formed no small portion of the mental existence of the invalid, might as be supposed in strict keeping with the character of phantasm. We poured together over such works as the Brevet et Chartreuse of Gressel, the Belphegor of Machiavelli, the Heaven and Hell of Swedenborg, the Subterranean Voyage of Nicholas Klim by Holberg, Usher would sit dreaming for hours. His chief delight, however, was found in the perusal of an exceedingly rare and curious book in quarto Gothic, the manual of a forgotten church, the Vigile Mortuorum Secundum Coram Ecclesiae Maguntine. Honey tingles. I couldn't help think of the ritual of his work and of its probable influence upon the hypochondriac. One evening, he informed me abruptly that the Lady Madeline was no more. He stated his intention of preserving her corpse for a fortnight. The worldly reason, however, assigned for this singular proceeding was one which I did not feel at liberty to dispute. The brother had been led to his resolution by consideration of the unusual character of the malady of the deceased. Certain obtrusive and eager inquiries on the part of her medical men, and of the remote and exposed situation of the burial ground of the family. I will not deny that when I call to mind the sinister countenance of the person whom I met upon the staircase on the day of my arrival at the house, I had no desire to oppose what I regarded as best but the harmless, as by no means an unnatural precaution. The request of Ulster, I personally aided him in the arrangements for the temporary entombment. The body having been encoffined, we two alone bore it to its rest. The vault in which we placed it, small, damp, and entirely without means of admission for light, lying at great depth immediately beneath that portion of the building which was my own sleeping apartment. It had been used, apparently, in remote feudal times, for the worst purposes of a donjon keep, and in later days, as a place of deposit for powder. Some other highly combustible substance. As a portion of the floor, and the long archway through which we reached, carefully sheathed with copper. The door of a massive iron had been also similarly protected. Its immense weight caused an unusually sharp grating sound as it moved upon its hinges. Scut, 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 scut. Little fish in the kitchen. Bass tingle, 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 bong, tingle, bong, tingle. Having deposited our mournful burden upon trestles within this region of horror, partially turned aside, yet unscrewed the lid of the coffin, looked upon the face of the tenant, striking the similitude between the brother and sister. Usher murmured out some words, which I learned that the deceased and himself had been twins. Naughty Nicky, Scout. Our glances, however, rested not long upon the dead, for we could not regard her unawed. The disease which had thus entombed the lady in the maturity of youth had left, as usual in all its maladies, of a strictly cataleptical character. The mockery of a faint blush upon the bosom and the face, and that suspiciously lingering smile upon the lip which is so terrible in death. We replaced and screwed down the lid. To the scarcely less gloomy apartments of the upper portion of the house. Rustle, tinkle. Welcome, buddy. Now, some days of bitter grief having elapsed, an observable change came over the features of the mental disorder of my friend. His ordinary manner had vanished. His ordinary occupations were neglected or forgotten. He roamed from chamber to chamber with hurried, unequal, and objectless step. The pallor of his countenance had assumed, if possible, a more ghastly hue, but the luminousness of his eye had utterly gone out. Scut. Oh, the once occasional huskiness of his tone was heard no more. in a tremulous quaver, as if of extreme terror. There were times indeed when I thought his unceasingly agitated mind was laboring with some oppressive secret, to divulge which he struggled for the necessary courage. At times again I was obliged to resolve all into the mere inexplicable vagaries of madness, for I beheld him gazing upon vacancy for long hours, in an attitude of the profoundest attention, as if listening to some imaginary sound. It was no wonder that his condition terrified, that it infected me. I felt creeping upon me, but a slight yet certain degree, wild influences of his own fantastic yet impressive superstitions. Hey Mark, how you doing, buddy? Got that jacked up on me again? What the fuck they keep doing that for? Keep pulling my mic down. Where's that easy? Oh, let's catch and breathe real quick. How's everybody doing out there? Catch my breath for a second. Some of that stuff's quite long-winded. How you doing, Liz? Kat, it's great to see you. Hazel Dama, Jonica, Harley's Delight, Barboska Russell. Oh, man. Yeah, finally starting to get caught up to myself. Get some productions underway. I mean, I wouldn't say things are quite back to normal yet, but yeah, that put that picture up there Jonica painted. It's beautiful. Probably gonna read The Raven too, so I'm assuming that was painted for The Raven, maybe. It's great work, Jonica. Yeah, we talked about that. We wanted to put your painting up. So pretty. How you doing, Jen? Jen. A couple more pages to go. I hope my voice is gonna hold up. Dank tingles. Dank tingles. Tongue clicking. Nikki, you hear the Swahilians in the distance? They're calling your name. Ska. Oh, I'm feeling good, Jen. Thank you. Casper tingles. Next lover. couple quick announcements while I'm thinking about it. Tomorrow night, Izzy Pop and I are going to finish the reading of Bonnie and Clyde, and soon we'll have auditions for Shawshank Redemption and Wizard of Oz. A couple of other submissions I got too. I need to get into the works. Some submissions from people like you. So, what else shall we do? Chances are. How much we got left? That's not too much, really. It was especially upon retiring to bed late in the night of the 7th or 8th day after the placing of the Lady Madeline within the dungeon that I experienced the full power of such feelings. Sleep came not near my couch, while the hours waned and waned away. I struggled to reason off the nervousness which had dominion over me. I endeavored to believe that much, if not all of what I felt was due to the bewildering influence of the gloomy furniture of the room. Of the dark and tattered draperies, which tortured into motion of my breath of a rising tempest, swayed fitfully to and fro upon the walls. An irrepressible tremor gradually pervaded my brain. It over sat upon my very heart, an incubus of utterly causeless harm. Shaking this off with a gasp and struggle, I uplifted myself upon the pillows, peered into the intense darkness of the chamber, hearkened me certain low and indefinite sounds which came, overpowered by an intense sentiment of horror, unaccountable yet unendurable. I threw on my clothes with haste, paced rapidly to and fro through the apartment. Taking but a few turns in this manner on a light step-on and adjourning staircase arrested my attention. I presently recognized it as that of Usher. In an instant afterward, he rapped with a gentle touch at my door and entered bearing a lamp. He looked cadaverous. There was a species of mad hilarity in his eyes, and evidently restrained hysteria in his whole demeanor. His air appalled me, but anything was preferable to the solitude which I had so long endured, and I even welcomed his presence as a relief. "And you have not seen it," he said abruptly, after having stared about him for some moments in silence. "You have not seen it. Stay, you shall." Thus speaking, having carefully shaded his lamp, he hurried to one of the casements, threw it freely open to the storm. The impetuous fury of the entering gust nearly lifted us from our feet. It was indeed a tempestuous yet sternly beautiful night. You shall not behold this," said I, shuddering, to Usher, as I led him with gentle violence from the window to a seat. "These appearances, which bewilder you, are merely electrical phenomena not uncommon. Or it may be that they have their ghastly origin in the rank miasma of the tarn. Let us close this casement. The air is chilling and dangerous to your frame." Yeah, maybe so, huh? Overdo it. Check out those. Y'all just want to hear me read no matter what, right? Hey, journals. The journals of awakening. Gens aura. Tingle, tingle, tingle. Y'all ready to tuck it in? Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right. Martingales. Pirate Radio. Yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and shut her down. Gotta read tomorrow night with Izzy. Gonna do the Bonnie and Clyde. Let's see the Bonnie and Clyde. Let's see the Bonnie and Clyde. That Bonnie and Clyde, Izzy. Scuss. Tomorrow night. What time tomorrow? Maybe 8 Central. Anyway, I'll make an announcement. Marcel Tingles, little fish in the kitchen. Hey, Casper Northerner. Welcome. 'CTFD, calm the fuck down. PTSD, put that shit down. CTFD. Journal tingle. Izzy Pop. Big hand to my Izzy Pop. Bravo, signorino. Scotty B. Yes. Let's everybody say happy birthday early to Izzy Pop. She is getting ready to have a birthday in 1 hour. Izzy Pop. Come on, ska, everybody. Ska, Izzy Pop. Ska. Maple tingles. Tingle. Oh, happy birthday. Ska. 10 minutes. That's right. Well, I see the light, and we're gonna tuck it in. Ska. Jonica, tingle. Ooh. Good night. Happy birthday, Izzy. Ska. Good night, Ace. Webmaster. Ska. Webmaster. Ska. Webmaster. Journals of awakening. Brain tingle, 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 tingle. Brain